Chapter 11. Mai watched as Willow got out of the back seat and headed up the driveway, pulling her wheeled luggage behind her. Kwang Ha mumbled, "Someone should tell her to get a backpack." Mai shot him a hard look, which she knew would keep her brother quiet. She could see that the strange girl's house had been painted the color of the shrimp curry that her mother made. It was a bold yellow that stuck out in the drab neighborhood. But what really interested Mai was behind the house, because it was very green back there. On one side, a stand of timber bamboo jutted up 3 stories high. On the other edge of the property, a tall palm tree and several smaller bluish-silver eucalyptus trees trembled together in the late afternoon wind. Staring at the house and the properties next door, it looked to Mai that there was a jungle behind where Willow lived. No one else had that, not in a neighborhood that spent 200 days a year without rain. Maybe, she theorized, the girl's parents owned a plant nursery. Her brother didn't seem at all interested in Willow or her house, but Dell stared intently, with his nose almost touching the glass as Willow removed a key from a zip pocket in her carry-on luggage. Any regular little kid would have then turned and waved back, or done something to acknowledge the people in the waiting car. But Willow simply unlocked the door and slid inside, disappearing into the shadows of the curry-colored house as if she were suddenly invisible. It was intriguing. Once Willow was gone, Mai watched as Del Duke jerked his car out of park, hitting the gas pedal so quickly that the Ford lurched forward like a broken carnival ride. Her eyes narrowed in suspicion. So he was that eager to get rid of them? Interesting. She hadn't had a very good opinion of the counselor, but in the last hour she had been feeling bad about his lost cat. Now she was quickly returning to her original position. Del Duke was not a natural at his job. After Del dropped off the troublemaker and his flame-throwing sister, he headed home. The route took him directly by the school district offices, and that was when he saw Cheddar sitting in the still hot sun on top of a once-green dumpster at the south side of the parking lot. Del didn't even break to get a better look. There were rats on the property. That was just a fact. As far as Del was concerned, Cheddar could pull his own weight back there, and maybe should a pound or two in the process. Del had picked up the cat after reading a notice online about a lost pet. It wasn't a shelter, so he didn't have to pay any fees. He just claimed the flea bag and even took the plastic cat carrier that the old lady offered. The woman seemed thrilled to be reuniting the cat with the owner. Del almost felt bad. Still, he was going to dump the lost cat flyers in the trash. He had promised the kids that he'd post them, but that was just to keep them in their shoes. They'd been pretty anxious about losing Cheddar. The flyers were on the passenger side floorboard of the car. Now, as he waited at a traffic light, he had to admit that the drawing, coupled with the imaginative and dedicated coloring that Kwang Ha had done early in the afternoon, was disturbing. The kid was a lone wolf. He was coded green. It was just wrong for the delinquent to have any artistic talent. But anyone could see from the picture of Cheddar that the surly kid had some kind of visual sense. Del made a note to change Kwang Ha's category. He was going to be moved to purple for oddball. Del found himself wondering if all kinds of assumptions were questionable, and that was strange indeed. Once in his possession-choked apartment, Del peeled off his stinky shirt and poured himself a tall glass of red wine. He next shoved a frozen meatloaf, which is supposed to be low in calories, into the microwave. The box claimed it served 3 people. He was trying to diet, but he always found himself eating the whole thing. Del then maneuvered around his heap of junk and took a seat on his patio furniture, which he'd used indoors in his living room. He was surprised people didn't realize that a decent chaise lounge was much easier to move, yet still as comfortable as a couch. Most outdoor recliners had wheels for mobility, and you could hose off the cushion if you spilled a bowl of salsa, and who didn't on occasion? Under ordinary circumstances, Dell will have turned on the TV to some kind of reality show, and after consuming the meatloaf and enough wine, he would have fallen asleep, usually with his mouth open, which inevitably served as a spout for pink-tinged saliva. The saliva would have stained regular furniture, but it went right through the plastic weave of the lawn chair, which was another plus. Dell would wake up hours later, and if he had the energy, make his way through the maze of his possession to his bedroom, where he would crawl into a sleeping bag. This was another one of his lifestyle choices. Once a year, he dropped the sleeping bag off at the dry cleaners. Forget the sheets and blankets and comforters and duvet covers. Modern life provided enough challenges without throwing in making the bed. But tonight, Dell didn't fall asleep in a small puddle of drool. He lay awake in his sleeping bag, which he believed had the smell of a brown bear, a mix of wet fur and dead leaves and empty wine bottles, thinking about the events of his day and the genius kid.